Welcome back to another JJ in the Field, time of agronomic tips you need them most. I'm Jonah Johnson. Today with me I have our research agronomist Brian Reeb, and today we're going to be talking about a multitude of topics mostly around pesticide labels and cutoff. So if you think about the time of year we're at right now, we're in the middle of the summer, we're entered a growth stage period in corn where we've entered that rapid growth phase. And so with that being said, many fields across Ohio right now are experiencing where we have corn that was this big, now is this big, but not only is that in the same field, we have varying stands across the field. So as we have stands of corn that are bolting essentially, but then we have varying growth stages and heights all within the same field. So that adds a layer of complexity when we're examining our pesticide labels, because a lot of popular pesticides for weed control right now are going to be coming to an end that says at this certain growth stage and or height, we can no longer use those herbicides specifically. And so as we look at that across these fields, we're going to take a lot of averages and make a lot of crucial judgments on some of these pesticides. So a great example of this is that we think about glyphosate, you know, a popular ingredient in Roundup and others. And so even though we have all corn now, for the most part, unless it's a non-GMO type hybrid, has the Roundup Ready to yield gene within that plant. So that means that plant essentially is resistant to glyphosate, but the female ovules in that cob and that ear forms when we get into the reproduction stage, up to 25% of those female ovules, so each ovule makes a kernel on that ear, are susceptible to glyphosate. So when you read that label specifically, it says when we reach the 30-inch height growth stage that we can no longer apply in a broadcast application. Once we get above that, we can now add drops to our sprayer, which gets us down below the canopy. And it's very important we don't add that glyphosate herbicide into that whirl, and that's why we change. So up to 48 inches with drops nozzles on our sprayer, we can still apply glyphosate for weed control in corn. So that being said, there's a multitude of other herbicides that we still use and we still need, because you think about the growing conditions we've had, it's been wet for a long period of time, and a lot of guys are entering that stage of desperity where I need to get some herbicides out there to control some of these tough to control weeds. So thinking of that, Brian, what would you say in your mind right now is probably the top 3 herbicides that guys may be going to, and how do we look at that in regards to the growth stage right now?
Thanks, Jonah. Some of the most popular herbicides that we would look to add in a post-emerge situation to enhance our glyphosate applications or additional, go after additional weed control with residuals are the HPPDs. So group 27 herbicides. One of the popular ones that we use a lot within our geography would be mesotrione. So that's Callisto or Incinerate, and that has a growth stage cutoff of 30 inches or V8 corn. So on that label, it is a little bit tricky. It goes by height as well as growth stage. So you need to pay attention when you're out staging your fields, like Jonah mentioned. And in that scenario, you can run up to 3 ounces in crop. So just pay attention to that. We go beyond that, we can have some serious crop injury beyond 3 ounces. Another one that follows a very similar restrictive guidelines is Laudis. That is V8 cutoff stage, and again with that one you can run 3 ounces in crop on that one as well. Another one that is very popular and it's in some premixes and we use a lot is Impact or Armazon. It does not have a growth stage cutoff. It can go up to 45 days pre-harvest, so it has a very wide window of application. So if you're looking to enhance and extend your residual control for, say, like burr cucumber late into the season, that's a very good option because it has a very long window, and you can go up to 1 ounce in crop with that herbicide.
Very good. So think about some other popular herbicides on the list right now. 2 that come to my mind, Brian, is if you think about Status and Stinger. Those have been used quite a bit the last couple years and probably more than we're given credit for. Talk to us about that. Where does that fit, and what are the cutoffs for those type of growth regulators?
Right, so right now Stinger is a very popular option, and Status, like Jonah said, we like those auxins because they're really good on broadleafs like giant ragweed, the burr cucumbers, things like that. So, but you have to be really cautious because we get into some tricky situations with the growth stages on that. So Jonah covered this in a previous video, how to growth stage the corn, and on Stinger it is based off of the height of the corn. So on that one it is cut off at 24 inches, and you can run up to 0.66 pints per acre in crop on corn. Now another option would be Status, and that has a safener in it, so it is much safer for crop response and crop safety when you apply it over the top of emerged corn. and you can go up to 10 ounces. 2 to 10 ounces is the application range on that, and you can go up to 36-inch corn or V8. So V2 to V8. So you got to watch your height and your growth stages on that one as well.
So this would be a much better option. We have a lot of guys, and I can't blame them. You know, when you're penciling out the numbers on your pesticide applications, the prices of inputs right now are real, but I add caution to growers that are using straight goods like Banville, for example, traditional dicamba. You know, the status type product is a safer version, because we've seen this growing season where guys were using that older type, we'll call it older type chemistry, and incurring damage, even though we shouldn't necessarily see that when we get that rapid growth. And then we have soft internodes until that plant gains more lignin and gets stiff into that stalk, if you will. You know, we're seeing that, and of course, it being a growth regulator, it kind of adds a steroidal effect to that corn plant, and we've seen corn plants either snapped over, laid down, or you can see like brace roots later in the season that have this erratic look, very thick and hardened looking to them because of that chemistry interaction. So when you go to these products like Brian previously mentioned, they're a much safer product, and you shouldn't witness as much of negative crop response as you would with some of these older type herbicides. So with that, if you have further questions, feel free to reach out to any of your local ASAs or any of us on the PCT team. For Brian Reeb and myself, this has been their JJ in the Field. Thanks for watching.